Hi and welcome to creating custom textures for retro illustrations. My name is Ioana Shopov, and in this course I'm going to show you how to mix traditional media with digital mastery and apply some custom-made textures to a vector illustration imported into Adobe Photoshop. A lot of people tend to view straight-up vector illustrations as being a little too precise and maybe a little too perfect, if there even is such a thing. So something that I like to do with my vector illustrations is add some of that traditional feel of imperfection with some nice vintage textures. But finding good high-res textures online is sometimes a challenge, so I just save time by making some for myself. And in this course, I'm going to guide you through the process of making some for yourself. This means getting down and dirty with some ink, pencils, and charcoal, scanning the resulting textures and then digitizing them, and then using them in the actual illustration. If you don't know which illustration I keep referring to, check out my previous short course titled Creating a Retro Illustration in Adobe Illustrator if you haven't done so already. So let's make a list of the tools you'll need for the completion of this course. First of all, you'll need some A4 sized paper. Since this part is about creating textures, you can pretty much guess that the actual texture of the paper is pretty important. And when I get to creating my textures, I like to try out different types of paper and see how that affects my end result. So it would be nice to have more than one type of paper handy. Maybe some watercolor paper and maybe a smoother option as well. You'll need some black ink and a bowl or some sort of open container for a small quantity of that ink to be poured in. You'll also need one or more sponges or sponge brushes like you see in my setup. You can get these at an arts and crafts shop, but if you don't find any, you can use any spongy sort of object to a similar effect. Finally, you'll need some charcoal sticks and some soft pencils, maybe like 2B or 4B. After we're done creating the textures, we'll need to scan them, so having a scanner is pretty much necessary. If you don't have a scanner, however, don't worry, I've included some of the textures that I've created during the preparation for this course in the source files, and you are free to use them any way you want. Since we'll need to import the illustration we've previously created in Adobe Illustrator into Photoshop, you'll need both of these programs. Any version above CS4 will do just fine. Last but not least, a pressure-sensitive graphics tablet like a Wacom Intuos Pro is not mandatory, but it would be great to have one nonetheless. Within the source files for this course, you'll find the high-res scans of textures created by me, as well as the original vector illustrations that we'll be using as a base for applying our textures. So now that we've listed everything we need and everything that we have in the source files, let's get started on Chapter 2, Creating the Textures.